In the 1980s, Hong Kong experienced one of its greatest periods of economic boom, making it famous internationally for its wealth, politics, and entertainment. However, in the heart of Hong Kong, there lies a place shrouded in mystery and fear, a place known as Kowloon Walled City. There, more than 50,000 people lived in an area covering only 6 acres in size. The sprawling slum was an independent enclave with towering tenements and a labyrinth of narrow alleyways running through it. The cramped living conditions were already very bad, but what's even worse was that there was little to no oversight from authorities. And so, the city became notorious for its crime rate, drug trafficking, and illegal activities that thrived beneath the shadow of its crumbling buildings. Amidst this chaotic territory, stories of the supernatural and unspeakable horrors abound, but none is more chilling than the story of the steamed sausage rice. It was an evening thick with humidity and the faint scent of decay, as Fong, owner of a small factory nestled amidst the labyrinthine alleyways of the city, noticed an unusual smell wafting through his workspace. The air reeked of something unidentifiable. It was different from the usual stench that permeated the narrow streets, a mix of sewage and garbage, lingering in the alleys like an unwelcome guest. However, the walled city's reputation for being a place where normalcy is non-existent had made Fong accustomed to unusual odors. The city was notorious for its overcrowded conditions and lack of proper sanitation, so he dismissed this new smell as just another daily occurrence. But as time passed, the odor intensified until it became unbearable. Fong's workers began complaining about the overpowering stench, their faces contorted in discomfort. Some even felt nauseous, a rare reaction in an environment where every breath seemed laden with foul scents. Finally, unable to ignore the situation any longer, Fong decided to take action and called for emergency services. After similar complaints from other residents, 2 police officers, Officer Wong and his partner, Officer Chan, finally arrived a few days later. As Officer Wong stepped into the factory, he was hit by an overwhelming wave of putrid air. He traced the source of the smell, following a trail that seemed to lead straight towards one of the old residential buildings. When they reached their destination, a small apartment on the 4th floor, they were confronted with an even more daunting scene than they had anticipated. The door was slightly ajar, a thick fog of decay seeped out between its cracks, and as they approached, the stench became almost overwhelming. Officer Wong knocked loudly but received no answer from inside. His partner, Officer Chan, began to feel lightheaded and nauseated. "Should we break in?" asked Officer Chan through a gag reflex. "We need to be sure," replied Officer Wong grimly. He continued pounding on the door for several minutes until finally an unexpected gust of steam billowed out, carrying with it the aroma of freshly cooked sausage rice. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a small figure dressed in tattered clothes. Little May, around 7 years old, staring up at them with large dark eyes. She didn't seem afraid, but rather curious. "Is your mother here?" Officer Wong asked gently, trying to mask his revulsion as he stepped into the house. May nodded and led them down a narrow corridor towards a back room where her younger sister, Lan, about 5 years old, was sitting at a tiny table doing homework. The older girl, May, then guided them further into the apartment, stopping outside an open doorway leading to what could only be described as a nightmare. As they entered the bedroom, Officer Wong nearly vomited upon seeing the state of decay in front of him. Lying on the bed was the body of May and Lan's mother, decomposed beyond recognition. The corpse was bloated and darkened, with pools of fluid seeping into the mattress below. "Your mother wasn't resting," Wong said, his voice trembling slightly as he stared at the ghastly sight before him. "No, she just took a nap," May replied calmly, her eyes never leaving the floor. Her matter-of-fact tone sent chills down Officer Chan's spine. Despite the gruesome sight before them, the officers noted that both girls remained eerily calm, going about their daily chores as if nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. Suddenly, May said to the officers, "My mommy made this for us." The officer's gaze followed the direction of May's finger, towards a table where a bowl of freshly steamed rice was placed alongside some sausages still smoking from being cooked moments before. "She made rice for us. She told us to eat it before leaving for school." Both officers struggled with disbelief. Officer Chan also noticed something peculiar. The rice on the table appeared untouched but still warm. Who had prepared this meal? The girls were too young to cook, and even if they did, where did they get the ingredients for the food? What's more, how were these girls able to ignore their surroundings completely? The more questions the officers asked themselves, the more they wanted to leave the place as quickly as possible. So they hurriedly ushered the girls out of the house. The case was eventually handed over to Detective Lum, who questioned the neighbors around the girls' apartment. They spoke of a woman named Lily, who lived alone and rarely ventured outside. She was an illegal immigrant from mainland China, with no known family or friends within the city. Lily's neighbors recounted how she had shut herself off from society after her husband's unexpected death years ago, never allowing anyone to enter her home. She had worked tirelessly in Kowloon Walled City to provide for her children, while battling severe health issues and an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Despite these hardships, she managed to create a semblance of normalcy within their tiny apartment. The children were seen occasionally, but only in fleeting glimpses through the windows. Nobody knew when Lily died, or why the girls seemed so unaffected by their mother's demise. Today, Kowloon Walled City no longer exists. It was demolished back in 1993. However, the ghostly and touching story of the steamed sausage rice continues to linger through the psyche of generations of Hong Kong's residents. For at the heart of every ghost story lies a human one, full of love, pain, and ultimately, survival.